Today, it's Paul and Heather and a completely real and not at all fake Beige on CheckPoint. Ooh, and a fidget spinner.
Yeah, my favorite one. It never leaves the house.
Oh, is that a controller? Oh, I see.
I think it might be the symbol for Riot or something. They were giving them out at a PAX, but
like,
it's metal and
yeah,
it's very
it makes
hefty.
a nice ASMR-y little like tink noise. Ooh, sounds like wind
Yeah.
going through the something. Anyway,
I had to stand in a line for this and make funny voices, and they asked me to do a thing based on their characters, and I was just like, and who are you again? And they were like, Riot. I'm like, I don't know what the things you do are. And they told me a thing, and I was like, okay, and I did the thing, and they gave it to me. I'm like, cool.
it's like,
Worth it.
Look, I don't care who you work for. Just tell me what I gotta do to get the spinny thing, and I'll do
Yeah.
it.
I don't even care about this pinning arcade pin that you're giving away of a character I don't know anything about that I think I just gave to James after.
You know, like the person behind you in line was like, she doesn't even know the game. Come on. So, welcome everybody to the ChillPoints on Friday. And I know this may shock you, but actually, Beige is not with us yet. But hopefully he will be joining us at some point during the stream. There are some wasp issues that need to be dealt with, apparently. So let's talk about for one thing, let's talk about last week's ChillPoint, which Heather was saying that she put up the VOD just like straight as it was, which
Oh, yes.
is probably somewhat odd if you weren't actually there and noticing what happened live, and that happened in the world live, apparently, because apparently Cloudflare and I think a couple other big DNS places went offline for about half an hour at around exactly the middle of ChillPoint, which was decidedly not chill.
I think my favorite comment on that VOD so far has been, you never expect them to actually live stream the apocalypse.
Well, it was because of the nature of the glitch in the DNS system meant that connections that you had already made were fine. So it wasn't like your internet was down, but just you couldn't connect to new things. And so that was the unique circumstance of having a very high quality, nice feed of Beige and Heather, but not able to connect to anything else. Anyway, so today we're talking about the CheckPoint that went up last night, and where Graham and Beige talked about a variety of things, and I believe a couple of stories were also written by Kathleen.
Well, one definitely.
You go on a limb and say the Shin Megami Tensei story.
100%.
Despite Beige's intense acting abilities, I don't think he actually is that excited about Shin Megami Tensei.
I don't think he's ever played even anything tangentially related. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
That's why he gets the big acting bucks, you know.
I think they gave him that story because it was also Nintendo related more than his actual like of a game series.
We were I wrote the intro where for the CheckPoint with Beige talking about when it's so nice to leave the house and have the wind in my face and everything, and often when we write the intros, it'll be like back and forth between the two hosts, but we don't necessarily like nail down who's gonna do which part. But it just we're like, look, Beej, until you get a haircut, you're always gonna have to play the like weird guy part. Like,
I mean,
Graham's gonna play the straight man, and then the other person, he's gonna have to play the like. I mean, not that he didn't always play that part anyway, but
yeah, I was gonna say I don't. I mean, sure, the longer hair helps him do some shorthand for that character, but he's never needed that to pull that off. He's been very good at that without.
Now he's not just the weird guy, but he's the weird guy who looks like he's seen some stuff. He's gone through some things.
I mean, we all have at this point.
All right. Let's start with that Shin Megami Tensei story, which is one of those stories that is like, you know, there isn't a whole lot of story there, right? It's part of the story is the fact that there is no, or that there is a very little story, that they're doing the thing where they just kind of tease you a little bit.
Yeah, Atlas is not not a we're going to share you a lot while development is happening kind of.
Yeah, they're very much in the it'll be done when it's done camp. And it'll be done when it's done, and that will probably be like 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good
and it was.
And then what they do, then they release the game. You know, they do release like Persona, and everyone loves it. And then while they're making the next one, taking 8 years or whatever to make the next one, but the nice thing though is then they'll like release, re-release.
Yeah,
Persona or whatever, because often, I mean, Atlas is at the point where often the game console generation changes when they're in the middle of making games. Yeah. Like I feel like Atlas has been like the last game on the console a couple of times.
Oh, definitely.
Like for PS1 and PS2, I feel like maybe they were like one of the last big games on the console.
Yeah, I know for the 3DS, Persona Q2 was, I think, it was either the last game or the second last game that came out for 3DS.
They're not who, like, if you're Nintendo or Sony, they're not who you go to for like, we want to give you the stuff, we want to give you the quick pre-look at the stuff so you can make some great games for release day. Don't go to Atlas for that.
But Atlas was the one who announced Shin Megami Tensei 5 at, I think, the big Switch press release of like all the games that would come to the Switch eventually. And I really should go look back at that and see if we've gotten them all at this point, because I think 5 might have been one of the last holdouts. I mean, 3 being remastered, I think, is considered a big deal. I've not really played a lot of Shin Megami Tensei stuff at all. I've seen some other people play a couple of games. Persona is much more my jam over that series, but my understanding is Nocturne was one of the first translated games to come over here of the series, and it's supposed to be quite hard, and there's a lot of love for that one. So for them to do a HD remaster is a big deal.
I mean, judging solely on the screenshots that I saw in conjunction with this game, it does seem like a bit of a downer, considering it seems to be like its depiction of Tokyo is like a barren wasteland.
So my understanding of the structure of SMT games is they are always the world's about to end or has ended. It's Tokyo, and you're going to end up with one of 3 endings: chaotic, lawful, or neutral. Go for it. Also, the demons will be the same, and the battle mechanics will probably work the same, which means if you already know stuff, you know stuff, which is kind of cool. That's neat. I think Nocturne may have been one of the few SMT games that didn't come to Nintendo originally as well, because that series does a lot of stuff with Nintendo over Sony, whereas Sony gets the Persona stuff more.
I mean, it got to the point, I know in that sort of earlier generation, it got to the point where everyone started putting RPGs on PlayStation just for the amount of space that you had on a disc versus a cartridge.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Oh yeah, the right, Minecraft at home, which is
Yeah.
super,
I actually think that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's super cool. I mean, really, isn't all streaming of Minecraft basically Minecraft at home? I mean, James does Minecraft at home every morning, but
So is James researching how different ways you can die by falling?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that his contribution?
it's his ongoing in-depth thesis that he's working on. He still has a lot of ground to cover though, or a lot of cliffs to fall
Well,
off.
I mean, the best research is something you do repetitively to really make sure that your information is correct and is not
Yeah.
a fluke. And James is going to make sure that his information is not fluke.
You got to replicate your findings. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the neat things about this that we didn't really have time to, when we're writing the story for CheckPoint consumption, you want to kind of encapsulate it, and some of these stories do have a little more background info that don't make it into the thing. And one of the neat things about this one is that because Minecraft, a lot of the algorithms and things for Minecraft are known. They're for like how the world is generated and how these different things, right? And so they weren't just taking that whatever 2 to the 64th power and go, because of course if they generate, there's the seed, right? But then within that seed, where was that screenshot of the title screen taken? Theoretically, like a seed could be, it's could be larger than the planet Earth, one particular Minecraft seed, right? So it's not just like which seed did they use, but it's like where in that seed was it. And so to narrow it down, there's all sorts of tricky things they did about like how the blocks are, what they could gather from like how the blocks are formed and what the clouds look like and all these different things. But they were able to narrow down which seeds are likely to were able to result in something that looked like the intro video, the intro screenshot. And of course, people are also, it's like, that seems like a lot of work. Couldn't they just ask Mojang what they used? But chances are they don't know. Like, it was probably just like a screenshot that looked kind of nice, and they took the screenshot. The idea of like recording the positioning, recording the coordinates and the seed where you took that screenshot probably never would have come up.
No, of course not. Like, I mean, I take screenshots to use for all kinds of things all the time, and it's not like I'm like, oh, this screenshot is from this point in this video. That's not information I'm ever going to think anyone's going to find interesting. And I imagine when you're starting out with a game too, that's really not the thing on your mind.
And actually, as a only peripherally related kind of fun story, I remember reading a thing that, like Half-Life, Valve, there's I don't know if they still use it, but their logo or on the opening page, there used to be the thing there. It was like the back of the head of a big black guy with like a valve in the back of his head.
Okay.
Yeah, with like a you just see like the head and shoulders with like a big screw knob in the back of his head with a sort of a big spigot. They used to, there was one where there's a guy with like the spigot instead of his eye, and then there's one with the spigot in the back of this guy's head. But apparently they don't know who that person was who modeled for that for that shot, for that the image that's used there on the intro page. They don't know who it is, and because they only have a picture of the back of his head, they can't track it down. And the modeling agents, they specifically asked for like, just they wanted like sort of normal, everyday looking people, not like model type people. And so the modeling agency got a whole bunch of people in, and they took a bunch of pictures of them, and then like they chose one, but somehow the who actually that is never got recorded. And because they don't have a picture of their face, there's no way they can track it down. So anyway, it's just kind of a funny thing that was even with a real person. And in the case of Minecraft, it's just a seed, so who knows. Boop, 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 boop. Love Struck.
Yes.
The which is a game of
Voltage Entertainment.
Yeah, but it's a game of games, right? It's like a
it's a series of visual novels, I believe.
Well, I thought Love Struck was sort of a visual novel player. Like it's sort of a visual novel thing that has like a ton of different visual novels in it. It's not one series. I think like Love Struck is the engine, I guess, or the base thing. And then there's a bunch of different visual novel series that are contained within Love
so it's
Struck.
more like a reader type thing.
Yeah,
so
visual novel platform.
I've seen so many of these visual novel things where they're like, it's one story, but there's 5 characters, pick the one.
Right.
And we'll keep adding information about those characters.
Calling it an engine, I mean, the engine stuff involved in a visual novel is, you don't really need an engine, but it's the sort of part that fits around it. I mean, you could easily, for most visual novels, it's just, it's just text choices and stuff. The hard part of visual novels is the writing. Because of course it's a novel, effectively. I guess the other hard part is the images. So,
well, because
the visual
one
and
of
the
the
novel
reasons, part. One of the reasons that visual novels are as many as there are is because you don't generally like at the base level you don't need animations. You want them because they do add character and they make something a little less static. Which is why sometimes you see characters will do things like shift a bit, but their image still remains static because they're trying to add movement.
Or they do kind of the like Ken Burns motion on still stuff too.
Yeah. But like a really fancy visual novel will have things like a loop of waves happening in the background if you're at the beach, and maybe the character will blink. Or have a couple of, or if you want to get really fancy, something like Phoenix Wright, where the characters have several small amounts of motion.
Yeah, and so the issue here with Voltage Entertainment and Love Struck is that it turns out that that the writers for these visual novels are being paid very, very poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of those things where, like, in your mind, you can kind of I feel like the idea that people who write for these visual novels aren't paid very well isn't that big a revelation. Like, it's clearly a thing that is, you really got to churn out the content, but how bad it is. And the sort of the really these like ridiculously tight deadlines and stuff are very clearly it's a bad circumstance. And as somebody in the comments to the CheckPoint on YouTube was saying, like, the other aspect of this is how they do the people being paid by the word. Which is a very sort of old school, like...
it still happens like for a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah, but it's kind of an old school, like, newspaper style thing, almost. But saying maybe that's why people, that sometimes visual novels will be rather overly verbose for certain things. If you could add 2 more adjectives, that's another couple of cents in your.
I mean, at the same time, they're a bit like Harley Quinn romances in that
Right.
respect too, where they're like they get very flowery with their language. There's a lot of extra language in there that you technically don't need, but is kind of expected in some ways.
And I mean, Harlequin romances. I wouldn't be surprised if they were also paid by the word back in the day. I mean,
Pretty sure they are too.
anything
Actually, now that I
you're
think
sort of
about it.
churning out like that, as opposed to say having like a couple of staff writers who are actually on salary and writing, actually writing a night, actually have the time and the stuff to write a really nice story. I mean, it's why there's games like Lady Killer in a Bind, or the dad one.
Oh shoot. Why do I not remember the name of that? Chat will tell us. Chat.
Dream
Dream
Daddy.
Daddy. Thank
That's
you.
it. Anyway, there's the various visual novels that have kind of sort of transcended the visual novel, very narrow niche, and have gotten sort of wider acclaim. I think a lot of that is because they obviously have been paying a lot more attention to the
I mean, there's
the writing and everything.
story, better art. Again, usually some animations. A lot of them do voice acting now. Like Arcade Spirits has quite a bit of voice acting in it, but it's not like fully voice acted, if I remember right. Stuff like Dream Daddy is also what I wouldn't call like a classic dating sim game, because it actually deals pretty appropriately with a lot of stuff, and classic dating stuff does not.
I mean, that's the other interesting thing, of course, is that if you want to have some sort of interesting, and that's the thing with these are definitely in the romance novel section, in terms of they're not dealing with any difficult issues or anything. This is purely sort of fluff, enjoyment. Not that this is not saying that's bad, of course. Video games are primarily that to begin with. But they're not attempting to deal with any difficult subjects, because they have to write, like, was it 3 episodes in, like, 4 days? So, they're not going to be, like, doing a lot of nuanced writing.
I don't even know that many fanfic writers that do that much. So that's just like a lot of time and effort, which is fine. It's fine to have things where people have. I mean, I wouldn't say the deadlines are fine. I think it's fine to be like, this much work we expect from a person, but the amount of money those people still have to eat and pay rent and live, and the idea that they don't get paid at what is considered a industry standard rate either is kind of gross.
A single episode, say like a single episode, could get $60 to $120. So you got to put a fair number of those together over the course of a month to actually make a real income. Yeah,
personally, it just sounds like a great way to burn out.
Yeah, as DJ Alternative says, 8 cents is the standard set by the Writers Guild or whatever. 10 is average, 12 is pretty good. For these ones, they were talking somewhere around like 4 cents.
Like 3 to 4 cents.
3 to 4 cents. So their demands. So this is about the sort of collective action. So a whole bunch, all the Lovestruck writers, there's only about just over 20 of them, wanted to have their their per word thing doubled to 8 cents, which is the minimum according to the Writers Guild. But it is one of these situations where, as you say, there's fanfic writers who are stuff. So I imagine it's one of these situations where there's a lot of competing with free kind of thing. There's a lot of competing with people who are like, I just want to get in the industry and do it. Sure, 3 cents. I was doing it for free before, so I'm happy.
Yeah, that's kind of where most of
that's dangerous. Of course,
underpaid work comes from. You'll find that in crafting communities and probably within streamers and other stuff as well, where people undercharge partially because they don't know. But also because there's sometimes this habit of being like, well, I was doing it for free before, or this is an extra thing, or this is just a hobby, but it does have an effect on the rest.
Yeah.
As a result.
That's a tough one. So yeah, if anybody out there is a fan of the of any of the things on Lovestruck, know that the writers who you enjoy the work of are dealing with some tough stuff right now. So if there's any way that you can support them, please do.
I do wonder if that's just for Lovestruck or if it is for all of the stuff that Voltage does, because I believe they do a lot of other apps as well.
I was under the impression that Lovestruck was like the umbrella they did all their stuff under, but.
Yeah, I think Voltage Entertainment is the actual publisher,
right,
or producer, perhaps. I always get a little confused as to who is what in which way on some of those projects, but I do know Voltage does a lot of other mobile dating sim stuff. And I think even some of their stuff has started to come to Switch, which I really would like mobile dating games to not come to Switch because it's a different format. I don't like the pay per chapter thing.
Again, paper chapter. That's like again sort of like a weird old school almost, like, they talk about like Moby Dick was originally done as a serial, like
a lot of
chapter at a time, stuff like that. It seems so odd now, but there's other.
I mean, we were kind of going into an episodic form of video games for a while, especially with things like the Telltale game series. We're doing a lot of that. A few others where it's like there's a story there, but you're kind of just getting part one, and then we'll bring out part two later.
Yeah, it hasn't been very successful as a video in terms of like video games. Like Telltale was basically the only producer that seemed to be able to do it fairly consistently, and we learned that was not actually the case. That the only way they were able to do it consistently was because they were really messing things up.
Yeah, and it turns out they were also kind of hell to work for too. So, I mean, part of that was definitely they took more than they could really do, and then, man, I read that article months ago? I don't know. Everything was years ago. So, and it sounded awful. I'm kind of glad that's not going on still, even though that's not really fixing anything.
I mean, there's certainly have been some. I mean, I guess the format of like a big game with DLC now is similar in a lot of ways, except that you actually get like a substantial game to start with. But like, in some ways, you could call the DLC that comes out after the game the next chapters of the thing.
I guess especially stuff with season passes, where it's like your DLC is going to come out over time. Maybe depending on how much of that is story content. I think I would more place stuff like Fortnite in that category, where
that's true. Where they
I don't know how long a season is, but it always seems to be like there's a new one tomorrow.
They keep updating and changing, and that's even less like you're playing all the stuff. That's just like the actual online servers are changing. You can't go back to the earlier stuff. Like that's this is the
more
new
of
thing.
a method to keep people talking about them and the conversation going, so that people remember they exist.
It's actually as an aside, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is the like ancient Greece one. Just it's a lot of fun if you're into the modern day or the more recent Assassin's Creed games, which are different from the previous ones. But one of the things that when I got it with and because it's been out for a while, the package I got had the DLC built into it, and one of the DLCs was basically what I would expect. Like you played through the whole game, and it's a long game, and I didn't do everything. And, I was probably like 60 hours into it or so, and then I was like, okay, I'm basically done this. I'll try this DLC, and it's like about what I expected for DLC. It was like, a new area or a little bit of a different thing. You meet some new people. There's some new missions that are kind of interesting. Some stuff happens, and it's like, okay, that was basically what I expected for DLC. But if you have played Assassin's Creed and have not played the Fate of Atlantis DLC, holy crap, it's amazing. They made
Sorry.
They made the second piece of DLC that's by itself about 40 hours long.
Odyssey's in Greece?
Yeah.
So
Atlantis is
I guess it's nearby.
It's sort of in there. I don't know. Plato talked about it, I think, and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Look,
okay, sure.
I
know. I'm just curious.
We're into serious. We get into serious mythology on this, but you go into Elysium and Hades and Atlantis. You go to all these different spots that look completely different and play completely different. And like to the point, like after I played that, and like I said, it's probably about 30 to 40 hours. This DLC, I was kind of like, I sort of wish that this is just what Assassin's Creed Odyssey was. Like the game is fine, but there's a lot of, like, it's a huge world, and there's a lot of, like, filler stuff, right? There's a lot of, like, go and get this, kill this guy, do this quest, get all the bear asses, whatever. And, they part of the marketing for it is that there's this huge world, and there's so much to do, but it's like, I don't really care that much.
I mean, the important questions you have to always answer when you have new stuff for your game, or a game in general, is there a dog? Can you pet it? How many hats are there that are cool? How many hats can I wear at once?
Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed does have many hats that you can wear, or helmets. But they have the good move where because a lot of the helmets are really stupid looking. Because
good. Excellent.
Because they're like, there's a lot of
should be.
the like Greek helmets with like the like big weird things on the face and big like plumes coming up the top and stuff. A lot of them look really stupid. And so you can change the look of any of your armor to look like any other piece of armor, just cosmetically if you want.
Oh, okay. No, that's a good thing to have. I agree with those systems.
You can also just tell it to not show your helmet. Like, you can just say, don't show my helmet. And it also takes away your helmet when you're in cutscenes, no matter what. Because having, like, a really emotional thing when one person is wearing this, like, giant helmet with, like, a scary dragon face on it, and she's doing, like, an emotional scene with her mother, would be a little bit weird.
I think you mean the best.
But I don't think you can wear multiple hats at once, though. So that's kind of disappointing.
I just saw like a clip the other day of like something Adam was playing. I think it was like Code Vein, and he had like 3 hats on his head, and I was like, yes, this is the feature I want in more games.
The hats on hats feature?
Yeah. He had like a little cowboy hat on the side, and I think like a beret, and then like this big top hat.
They weren't even stacked. They were actually like around different. Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then the last story that we actually talked about in CheckPoint was this whole cluster bus thing going on with the army on Twitch. In fact, I believe you could actually accurately call it a snafu. Being as that is a military term originally. So basically, we Graham went through it in pretty good detail actually in the episode, but it turns all the like it turns out that the Army and the Navy and the Air Force all have esports teams, which we sort of knew about, but somehow was kind of flying below the radar, I guess, to use the Air Force. But it wasn't like they were secret esports teams. They put out press releases saying we're going to do an esports team, but for some reason the implications of that didn't really click with people until just recently.
Well, because I think for the most part, people are fine if they want to do esports teams and play video games and hang out with their other buddies and compete even probably. I think it's more the idea of people feeling like they'll use it as a recruiting tool
Which
for marketing and other stuff, which I assume would have always been the case.
Yeah, like to be clear, like that's again explicitly like for the Air Force when they release their thing, it's like public information that it's like the people recruited for the esports thing, they're military personnel, and it says they're going to be reporting to this base in the recruitment section, having stuff on recruitment. Like it's because it's definitely about recruitment. Because if it wasn't about recruitment, what would it be for? Like, if it wasn't supposed to be about recruitment, they were just wasting a ton of money playing video games. Like, like obviously it's about recruitment. Like I don't know otherwise how are they selling it to their superiors that they get to play video games?
Well, in the same way that I sold that stuff to my teacher, like every other kid did. I was like, but if I play this video game for my report, I'm doing research. Please let me play 60 hours of video games.
It's research.
Tell my parents that it's homework, please.
So, and along with this, there's also other stuff about how the idea of actually that they may not be able to actually ban people from that sort of moderating their chat because they're a government agency actually falls afoul of First Amendment stuff, which is normally not the case. But in their case, because they have created, by creating a Twitch account and streaming, they have created a space that was created by the government, and therefore rules about the First Amendment actually apply, which is interesting. So there's a bunch of stuff there. What was particularly kind of nice about this story for us, I mean, it's not a great story, obviously. It's a crappy thing that's happening. But what worked out nicely about this story is the pace of it, the pace of sort of new information coming out, matched up quite well with CheckPoint, like sort of the week-to-week schedule that we have. Like often, either the information about a particular story won't be out by the time we have to record, and then by the time the next week comes around, it's old news. Or there'll be like a story where it's like, this could be something in 5 years. Maybe we'll report on it again. And it just so happened that this story kind of, over the last, I guess, 3 weeks that we've been kind of talking about it, new information has kind of come out every week. And so we've been able, we don't often get to kind of follow a story like this. So it's been kind of fun.
Well, not week from week. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's all the show stories, right? So
yes. Oh, also Microsoft Flight Simulator will come on 10 DVDs.
Oh, right. Yes.
Which is because nobody has Blu-ray players. I'm sorry.
On their PCs.
On their PCs. Most PCs don't have Blu-ray players.
Did they? I mean, mine doesn't even have a CD
I know
entrance
a lot of people don't have DVD players. Although I think it was somebody brought it up that it's like, yeah, most people don't have Blu-ray players on their computers, so that's not a good way to distribute it. But why not like a USB stick?
I guess it depends on the target demographic of the game, and maybe they're grouchy and they don't like USB sticks, or maybe they consider USB sticks to be too easy to get the information off of and make
you have to work for it.
Copies of instead of
okay,
discs.
10 USB sticks then, just to make them feel like they're doing more work.
And one of them always has to be plugged in when you're playing.
It could be like a little USB stick, like in the shape of a plane. It could be cool.
Oh yes, that will definitely fit in with everybody's USB drive areas.
Oh, isn't that
I've
the
definitely
worst?
I've definitely never used some sort of fancy USB drive that takes up the space of the other USB drive beside it.
Someone very kindly sent us a bunch of Game of Thrones USB drives.
Those were the ones I was talking about. Yeah.
I don't know if they were like something a fan sent us, or they were like a promotional item that was sent to us.
It came in through an old mail time where we got like a bunch of Loot Crate stuff. Right.
So it was there are a bunch of Game of Thrones things, and they're in the shape of like the wolf head, of like, I guess it's Jon Snow's crest, and so they're like a full like crest shape. And so yeah, if you can stick them with your USB port, they most definitely block all the other USB ports. Mm-hmm. And now
they do.
And now on on this side over here, absolutely nothing has changed. So that's good.
Would you like it to change? Because that seems like an awkward position for you to sit in for a long time.
It is. It's really, Hi.
Wow. Your face just suddenly got much higher resolution than it was previously.
Yeah. Redder though, Jesus, yeah.
How's it going?
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
No worries.
Yeah. We just finished all the stories that were done in CheckPoint, so we're on to something new.
Great.
Starting with Star Wars Squadron Fleet Battles. This is actually not like this is just a game that was previewed that I saw and I thought looked really cool, and maybe we could do a story about. Anyway, there's a game that's coming out now that's going to be coming out called Star Wars Squadron Fleet Battles.
All right.
And the premise of it, which is awesome, and I don't know why this hasn't been thought of before, is that it's like big, you have like a Star Destroyer and like a Mon Calamari Dreadnought or whatever. Yeah. But you don't play those. You are the like little ships that are. So it sounds like, from the description, it sounds almost like a MOBA, like Dota or something. Passing the teeth through my head. Like Dota.
So it's not like EVE Online. It's not like
it's not a MMO. But it's the idea is that you are that you're playing, you're like, I think there's teams of 5, and so there's 5 people on each side, and you are trying to destroy the other person's capital ship, which has tons of guns and things. But from what I understand, nobody is actually playing the capital. Like, the capital ship is controlled by the computers on each side or whatever. They're effectively like the towers in a game of Dota or whatever. And so you're going in and trying to destroy the capital ship. Which I think is kind of a neat twist on the formula.
Yeah, like I totally would have thought this would have been one of those things where it's like, hey, 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people are just all fighting constantly all the time. There's all this, and it's like the logistics of that seem it would be very hard to negotiate, and you would have those kind of things where it's like everyone will have to coordinate a whole bunch of battles offline, like in EVE, so we can have battles online. But just the idea that it's like, just drop in 5v5 or
Yeah, this is sounds
5
like
of you on computer or whatever.
this is more tapping into the like Overwatch, Valorant, that style of the sort of skirmish type gameplay. I think rather than a persistent thing.
Yeah, that's a
but
great
this
idea.
is sort of a way to do that, but in the space combat Star Wars universe, which seems like a cool deal. I don't know. That's all I know about it is this preview, and I was like, hey, that seems neat. And also in the same realm, I actually marked this story specifically because I thought Graham would be interested in it. There's a game called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Which just pause for a second there. Visualize in your mind what this game Bomb Rush Cyberpunk looks like. You're probably right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I saw when this hit Twitter because it was just like people were calling it the sequel to Jet Set Radio or a successor or something, and so Ian was definitely already all over it, and I was like, oh, I guess I should find out what Jet Set Radio is so that I can understand Ian a little bit better.
Oh, this makes so much. This explains Ian now.
If anyone would like to give me some stuff that could explain Ian to me, don't.
I feel like this this game falls into the Stardew Valley and but all these
I know what
games,
you mean actually.
These games that have been created by totally different people because the original the people who made Harvest Moon, the people who made or it's like Grim Dawn that they're playing on came out because it was too long between Diablo games, and they were like, we want a Diablo game, let's just make one. There's a demand there for a Diablo game. This is the same deal. It's like people want new Jet Set Radio, Sega isn't making it, let's make it ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, DJ Alternative in the chat says that their marketing calls it a spiritual successor because several people from Jet Set were working on it, which, I mean, that makes sense too.
Well, and that's also with Bloodstained. Like Bloodstained had Igarashi working on it, and he was the guy who was doing all the Metroidvania style Castlevanias for So that sense of, hey, there's a creator out there who likes making a specific type of game, and their previous company or publisher has completely given up on them because all they want to do is just make that kind of game. But there's people out there being like, but we want more of
that. That definitely fits with Harvest Moon because it's Story of Seasons now if you really want Harvest Moon.
Yeah. Everyone keeps this kind of you see the slow evolution of a game moving beyond what it was Paper Mario. People complain about that it's kind of like Paper Mario has moved beyond kind of what everyone thought was the perfect formula in the first two games.
There's not really a...
And it's like, oh, that people are upset about the fact that the games keep evolving and keep trying to do new, interesting things. And it's like, right, but all I want is a new game that is more of the same.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some spiritual Paper Mario successor in development already by somebody.
I would be okay with that, especially if anything wants to do more crafting styles, more paper art styles, more Yarn Yoshi type styles. I am there for all of the craft-looking games.
Yep. More crafty games.
Please. They look great, and I like them.
Yeah. There's a sweet game, or there's a cool looking game that has just been released on Itch.io called Yarn Town. Speaking of crafty type games,
right? Yeah.
And it takes place in Yarnham, in the world of Bloodborne, but it's Bloodborne, but if it was like Zelda: Link to the Past. So it's like
it looks way cuter.
It's like a 3/4 view chibi version of Bloodborne. And it's kind of adorable. And you can download it for free.
Oh, cool. That's a lot of work to just, I mean, that's true of a lot of Itch.io stuff, isn't it? A lot of work gets put in something that you just can get for free.
A lot of people do that, yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, it's also in the realm of there's probably a bunch of stuff in it that makes it so that they can't sell it. But
Well, because I think they actually the article mentioned I think the first two bosses are actual bosses from Bloodborne.
yeah, like they're actually. I don't think it's the entire game, but
No,
it was.
but generally you start doing stuff like that, and generally people get mad at you. But it does look really cute. Like I do like this aesthetic a little bit better, and I do think the Bloodborne aesthetic is neat. I just don't want to immerse myself in that for any period of time.
Kind of that black and slightly less black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have too many lights on in the house. I can't see anything.
Don't immerse yourself in anything that comes from Bloodborne. It's not going to work. It's there's no way it's going to end up good. There is nothing in the world of Bloodborne that you want to immerse yourself in.
But Blood Echoes. Anyway.
Untitled Goose Game isn't getting a title, but it is getting a box.
Honk.
Yes. Commence honking.
There you go.
And the box is called the Lovely Edition, which is nice.
It's funny too, right? Because they're getting two different editions, and the first edition has like your standard game case that you would see, right? The one where it's like, we need this to sit on a shelf so that everyone can look at it and be like, oh, this is very interesting and attractive. I see this thing. Mm-hmm. And the Lovely Edition, which has the little bit extra stuff in it, is the one that the game case that the enthusiast wants, the one that isn't entirely clear as to what you're looking at, the very minimalist styling thing that just is kind of very pretty, right? That every gamer has this kind of itch, I think, where they're like, I want all my games to look as nice as the Firewatch case, where it's just like a very simple logo, 2-color, 3-color, whatever, with a name on it, and that's it. I don't want a bunch of...
I want my Entitled Goose Game box art to look like I might be smart with my video games,
yes.
And they look very classy, and if you look at it, then you know that I have interesting opinions.
I simply want the game to look like it's a warning, that's all. I want it to scare predators.
It comes with a no geese allowed sticker.
Yes.
Yep.
Which presumably will do nothing to stop a goose from taking all your stuff, as
if
one
the game
would
is to be
expect.
believed.
I mean, more importantly, it comes with a map, because all video game stuff should just have cool maps and come with maps, as far as I'm concerned. But useful for your pet goose that you may one day get to be able to help play you with a video game.
And as the Meerkat mentions, it comes there's not only a vinyl soundtrack, so a soundtrack on a record, but it's a double groove record, as in like the style where it's random what groove you get when you put the needle down.
You get like a 1 in 2 chance of getting one type of soundtrack or another type of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a weird record thing that people figured out that they could do to be silly.
It's a good game to go with it then, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah. I never actually got around to playing Untitled Goose Game, but
It's
only
a few hours, so it's a nice sit down.
My general the thing I've seen about it was that it's like it's fun, maybe not like as ridiculously over, like it was kind of ridiculously overhyped at the time, and then it was like it's fun. It's maybe not like the greatest thing ever, but it's a really fun little game.
And it's a great. It feels like playing it. I felt like it was like a great break, and I don't know. It's just like, oh, what a relaxing way to spend my time is to be this goose.
Just hit that time and place perfectly.
Asshole goose.
But it's weird because I'm like, I don't know if that would make me want to buy a physical release of the game. I like. Because in this case, it's for like seeing this, since we've both played it, Heather and I.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is like you're buying the artifact. You're buying the thing so it can sit on your shelf, much like
presumably you've already
version
played
of Hollow Knight right up there. Exactly. It's like you've played it, so you want an artifact that looks pretty on your shelf to kind of say, look, I own a copy of this. I can play it anytime if the servers go down and I can't download it anymore, kind of deal. But I don't. Yeah, it's weird to me because I'm like, I don't. When a game is that short, too, are there a lot of people who are saying out there that's like, I must have a copy of this so that I will always have one. But if you've never played it, I can kind of understand why you might want to pick up the physical copy then.
So you're gonna get a few people. You're gonna get the people who collector.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, and as you said, they're gonna go for the case that comes with more stuff. You're gonna get, if this is a game that goes out on actual store shelves, then you're gonna get a few more people who've maybe heard of the game, but then they see the copy of it out on the thing, or they might think that game looks interesting, who buy it. And then you're going to get, I don't consider them quite the same, archivists, people who generally have that collection, but what they don't necessarily want the special edition. They want a hard copy in case something happens, because they want to keep physical of their stuff. And I fall more into that category sometimes, but not always. Myself,
of course, it's hard. That's harder and harder these days, but yeah.
But to me, it kind of feels a little bit like it would be almost as ridiculous if we saw Journey come out in a hard copy edition for the PS4 or whatever, and I would kind of wonder as to why.
Did it come out in a hard copy?
Did
version?
it
For PS3? I don't know. It was a PS3 game originally.
I don't know.
It was a PS3 game originally.
They brought it out to PS4 and Steam, I think. Eventually, I don't know if it got a hard copy or not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, of course, the problem is more and more these days. The hard copies you get the hard copy, but it still doesn't work without the online part.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
PS3 apparently had a hard copy.
Sorry. There you go. As a side note, Kotaku has started doing this thing where they do the title, the headline, and then like the hero image of the show of the story, and then like one line of text, and then a video that is unrelated.
Yes.
And then the rest of this, like they'll be like, and here's another video from somewhere else on Kotaku, and then they'll do the rest of the story. And so it for this particular one, it's like Untitled Goose Game is getting a release, and I'm watching like Smash Brothers. Min Min kicks off Smash Brothers Ultimate Second DLC Pass video, which is like the first video right under this. I'm like, wow, they really changed things up for the physical release of Untitled Goose Game. Holy crap.
Now, Goose from Untitled Goose Game should definitely be in Smash.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It'd basically be a troll character just like Piranha Plant.
Yeah.
Or maybe just as like an assist trophy. Like just you throw it and comes up and it's a 50-50 chance that he'll either just do something to you or do something to somebody else.
I like the idea that if you were to throw him, he would walk up to somebody who has like an assist item.
Oh, and just take it from them.
And walk off. And you can't get it back.
Yeah. Wouldn't give it to you or anything, would just take it.
Yeah. Are there assist items that steal other people's assist items already?
You can knock stuff out of people's hands. I know that's possible, but like just to be like, if you pop the goose just walks around and starts grabbing stuff from people.
I don't want to ever hear the phrase "pop the goose." That's please no.
Gross. Rocket League is going free to play. Yay! It's also leaving Steam for Epic. Boo.
Unless you already have it, then it's yours still.
Yay!
Yeah, it's going to Rocket League is becoming an Epic Store exclusive, which is not really exclusive because if you already had it on Steam, you still have it. But it's also going free to play. So good, I guess. And if you have all your stuff that you had before on Steam transfers over, so they're trying to make sure that it'll be a reasonably smooth transition.
There's the reason why, as Evil Badman points out in chat, Epic bought Psyonix last May.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason they would have been saying, we're doing this.
Yeah, the article actually mentions that people thought that this would have happened last year, and it didn't.
Yeah, so it's not a surprise, but yeah, I mean, they it is it is annoying that, this game that you had already on Steam is now going. I mean, at least by making it free to play, they're making it so you don't have to it's not like I got to rebuy it on Epic or something.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is if there are more updates, even if you keep your thing on Steam, you're still going to get updates through that. That they're supposed to be cross play and cross progression.
And
as well.
I think that's also supposed to apply to the consoles as well.
Yeah, I think the console versions too. Okay. So it's like it's maybe not the news you want to hear, but it could have been worse.
Yes. Hey, Epic Store. It could be worse. Do you like demos of games? Did you play all the demos of games that were out during the GDC game demo thing that happened a couple weeks ago? Well, there's going to be 70 more demos available.
Jeez. I don't know if I have that much time.
Xbox Summer of Games. You're already 3 days into it. And so you have until the 27th to play 70 games. There's like 10 games a day, but now you have to play the games even faster. I suggest you start with 9 Monkeys of Shaolin.
Oh, you want to go alphabetical order?
I say for 2 reasons. One, it's at the top of the list, and 2, it sounds funny. Apparently, the aardvarks of whatever isn't a game yet, but.
I've already played the Chris Tales demo at a previous PAX, so that's at least one off the list I don't have to do. I'm assuming it's the same demo.
I feel like there's been a bit of a resurgence in demos lately. Well, I mean, certainly been a resurgence lately but it seems like people have kind of, demos obviously used to be a really big thing, and then there's a certain point where people didn't really bother, I guess, because there's early access stuff and different things like that, and people sort of had other ways of getting to know a game before, or they would just buy it and then return it or whatever. But demos seem to be more of a thing now.
Yeah, I mean, demos are also a lot of generally extra work on the devs, so sometimes
often
it's not a great idea, but
often a demo isn't just the first part of the game. Often they'll jump around a little bit.
Yeah, depending on what they want to show off. Sometimes a demo can poorly show off a game. I've definitely had experiences where I'm like, oh, well, that didn't seem great. And then people are like, no, the game's amazing. And you're like, what? That's not what the demo showed me.
That was literally the entire point of the demo.
Right? But yeah, generally, I think in this time of COVID 2019, there is that feeling of people can't go to places and people can't go to the conventions and things where we might have had these demos in the first place. So if we put them online as a timed thing, at least we're kind of getting that out there. And you don't have to share sweaty controllers after somebody else has used it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's certainly in terms of demos. Yeah, if when the alternative is playing it nothing right now, but this is definitely better than playing it at conventions. I stopped playing demos at conventions very early in my convention career, realizing that it's wait, this isn't. I don't want to wait in line for a long time and play a little teeny bit of a game that is going to be available to play, in a month or two anyway.
Yeah, shh, Paul, don't spread that gospel, or else conventions are going to fall apart.
Oh no!
Oh no!
That'll be the thing that stops conventions.
Yeah. Oops.
I came to the same conclusion because a lot of times it's I will go play a demo if it means I get a piece of cool swag with it, but that's usually the only reason why I'll go play a demo these days, because I'm usually just not. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, maybe I'll play that when that comes out. Then sure, I don't need to go play it. We went to play River City Girls by Way Forward.
That line was very long.
And we got in because I'm like, I got to see what this is like to see if this is actually any good or not. I'm glad that I did, because I realized I'm like, this is not the kind of gameplay. It looks great, But when I tried playing it, I was like, this is not the gameplay I really wanted out of this. Kind of like this weird spin-off of the River City Ransom, the Kunio-kun kind of franchise thingy. I was just kind of like, this isn't really what I wanted. Mm-hmm. So in that case, it kind of saved me because I'm like, I didn't have to spend $25 or $30 in a game that ultimately let me down.
Mm. Yeah. But I mean...
Not to say it's a bad game, just that it wasn't for me.
I still have a Kirby squeeze ball from that one PAX when we had to do whatever it was to get Kirby.
Yeah.
I like that you remember you. I feel like that's the opposite of what they wanted. You don't care about the demo at all. You just wanted the swag thing, which was like the exact opposite of what they wanted. They wanted you to remember the demo because of the swag, not just what the swag.
A Nintendo franchise game thing, I probably already know whether or not I'm going to get, so I'm only going there for swag. For other stuff on convention floor, if it's very crowded, I'll take a picture if I'm like, oh, that looks neat, and it's too crowded, and so I'll look this up later. Maybe I'll grab a pamphlet if I can get close enough. But if there's something that looks interesting and there's no line, or the dev themselves is there, because sometimes they are for the smaller games, then I do like to go and chat with them and find out more about their game in that way, and see if it's something I want to actually pursue. But larger game titles, nah, that's like going and people who lined up to play like the Final Fantasy VII demo that places. Those lines got capped within 2 hours. Nah, I don't got that kind of time.
Yeah.
I mean, now also with Twitch and stuff, you can watch watch somebody else play it, which is often quite a pretty good threshold in terms of like, does this look like something that I would enjoy?
Yeah. I do have to demo every rhythm game I can find at a convention because you can only tell if they're bad or not by how well their controls work.
Right, you got to do it yourself.
There's usually only like, if I'm lucky, 2. Except for that one year where there was 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need a very
not
long...
all of those are out yet.
You don't need a very long demo in order to evaluate whether a rhythm game is going to work for you or not. Although, as somebody in the chat was saying... demos are cool. The fact that the way they're doing these is like time limited to give you kind of doing this kind of like FOMO thing seems kind of unnecessary. But I guess they want to push people to get in on it.
There's I mean they're probably trying to push people to play them right away, but there's also a fear that if you put out a demo and someone plays it, then the curiosity that they have for your game gets satisfied, and then that brain space gets thrown away, which isn't necessarily true, but it is like a fear and an argument that people use as to why a demo shouldn't be done for games.
I mean, I think it's the same, it's the same thing for like Twitch streaming, right? Like some developers don't like people who don't like Twitch streamers or people on YouTube because they've like people go and watch the game, watch somebody else play the game, and then they don't actually want to play it because they feel like they've gotten most of the experience out of the game already. Unfortunately, for certain games, that is kind of how it goes.
I feel like if you're on the fence about a game, you're less likely to buy it than just go out and buy it unless there's like a lot of hype around it in the first place. Just from, at least that's kind of how I feel about stuff. It's like I could hop the fence and just purchase the thing, but I've got enough games in my backlog that if I'm on the fence about something, I'm probably just not gonna.
I see. I was gonna say, it's like, where are you buying things that you have to hop a fence? I think you may not be buying things at a reliable distributor.
I buy my games the same place that Mario Golf was found on RoadQuest.
Ah,
it was Mario Golf, right?
It was Toadstool Tour.
Right, that one. It's very exclusive.
Yeah, the weird back alley GameStop.
They have a great point system.
Mm-hmm.
There's just that one game though. Their selection is not great.
No, you got to come back every few weeks to find what else they got.
But super reliable.
You have to wait till somebody else trades in a game.
That's what, they have those lending libraries on the street where people just put books, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
found one recently.
Yeah, so now the thing is, like, just take games that you haven't been playing for a while and just be like, go to those lending libraries and just slide them in there as well and see if they get like
They're gonna
one-tipped.
get so full of shovelware.
Probably.
Well,
yeah.
I think that's definitely like, there's the place, the box at like an EB that's just all old copies of Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like all old like early 2000s copies of sports games.
Just
The-
oops, all Madden.
Let's I think that was all of the stories that we had marked. Now, Heather, you posted a thing about that there was some new Nintendo stuff, eh?
Yeah, there was like a big leak of dev kit stuff from a bunch of games.
Ooh.
So that's probably more this is a continuation of the same leak. I imagine is how this is happening, where it's like people have been sifting through what got posted wherever. I don't think it's a fresh leak, like there's a fresh security hole or something like that. It doesn't seem to sound like it. It just seems to sound like, hey, more stuff leaked from Nintendo.
Yeah, so if you go to the so there's the article I shared was just here's a list of all of the games, but the Twitter account Gaming Alexandri has been posting and retweeting a lot of the sprites and the screenshots that have been coming from that stuff. And so you got like a really weird deformed looking Yoshi and different little videos from the games of like, here's what it looked like when it was in development rather than what we ended up with. So
Weird
it's just kind of a really interesting look
freaky
at
Yoshi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way more kind of reptilian, not as a cute cartoon. And that's kind of one of those things where people will be like, oh, they want to do this. It's like, that's not technically true. You don't know for sure that that's what they wanted Yoshi to look like. All you know is somebody drew this and used it. It could have been a placeholder, right?
At one point they drew it and then they were like, oh, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, somebody needs to redesign that stuff. But we needed to have Mario ride around on a Yoshi or something, so design a dinosaur and put it in the game. And it's like, okay, that's terrible, but let's keep testing.
Yeah, you said you wanted a dinosaur. Yeah, not that.
Yeah.
A cute dinosaur.
That became like 3 hours of an argument in the meeting about what constitutes cute as a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like somebody on the team is like a paleontologist and just like, that's not what a dinosaur looks like. Like, come on, people. Don't we care about accuracy?
Not if your dinosaur also spits out eggs and poops them out and then uses them for throwing. I feel like there's a lot of inaccuracies about dinosaurs and Yoshi.
The Yoshi life cycle is not something that you should think about too hard.
I remember someone mentioning that Yoshi was supposed to be based on a velociraptor, right? Like that was what his look and his gait and like all that kind of stuff. Because he has his two arms, but he walks on two legs, right? And it's like, oh yeah. That's I can totally believe that. But when you look at Yoshi like as he was, it's like that's not what a velociraptor looks like. So
yeah, I feel like I'm sure somebody's done like a version of Jurassic Park with Yoshis instead of Velociraptors.
Oh,
I feel like I might have even seen that somewhere, but I feel like that would be a less terrifying movie, or maybe way more terrifying.
I mean,
I
can tell you.
Yeah, it'd be the combination of like Jurassic Park and like It.
Yeah, I could tell you the piece of news that dropped this morning that made me really excited. There's a book called Ask Iwata that came out last year in Japan, and it's finally getting translated.
Ooh.
And it's a bunch of stories about Iwata-san.
Oh, Ask Iwata, like as in the former
the Iwata asks.
Yeah,
former
columns.
president of Nintendo for wasn't he like the longest president?
No, I think Yamauchi was the longest.
but he was the one that really started to make CEOs like part of the face of Nintendo. He started the Nintendo Directs, really. Wasn't he also one of the first
a lot
one
more
to not be part of a family? To be,
I think so. Yeah.
But he was a lot
so.
more front facing than most other of the Nintendo CEOs.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which definitely, I mean, that helped a lot because that, like Iwata being like right there, being a guy who programs games and being somebody who loves games, it's like you have Miyamoto doing that for all this time, and then to have somebody who's actually like running things to step up and say, hey, you know what, we all love games here, and I love games, and I'm going to kind of be the face of it, because it's very easy to believe that everybody who'd been running Nintendo up till that time has been like, that kind of attitude of we have a vested interest in ensuring that entertainment for adults and children that continues, like that kind of
very
thing,
business.
as opposed to being like, man, I love games, and it's so great that I get to make games, and I used to make games, and now I get to still make games, but I'm now the guy who gets to be the executive producer on the games.
And I'm sure he knows this, as genius as Miyamoto is, which is undisputed in his game design things, I don't think I would want to actually like work at a company that he was running. I feel like it would be too whimsical.
There was
and not enough actual like money.
There's a story that the person who had been directing Paper Mario Sticker Star, because I believe the same person who's directing Origami King, they were talking about in one of the meetings they had with Miyamoto about Sticker Star. Miyamoto apparently said, "It's fun as it is. Does it really need a story?" Like, that's the kind of blue skying thing that I really kind of now associate with Miyamoto. He's like, if it's just fun to play with, do we really need to give an RPG any story at all? And it's like, well, I mean, it's supposed to be something that has, and I know Super Mario Brothers never had a story and it was still fun. There's still that mindset, I think, in Miyamoto where it's like, as long as I'm having a good time, does it matter if there's actually a story here? And maybe some games, maybe it doesn't need to have
that's not inherently bad.
No,
on its own, but I feel like
I'd be hard pressed to be that interested.
Not have a story, though,
right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about what's coming up. In fact, in a little under or over half an hour, is going to be Friday Night Paper Fight, and you'll notice that is an hour earlier than usual. That is not because of daylight savings or something. It is because they are starting earlier at 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock because they're doing a core 2021 rotisserie draft. And from previous experience, that it takes quite a while to do the drafting part. And so they wanted to make sure that they have time to actually play the games and not just spend the entire stream drafting and then be like, bye, everybody.
Seems like a good idea. Yeah.
But the rotisserie draft is super neat. That's where the idea is for rotisserie draft is they take every card in the set and then they get to choose one at a time as they go through the players which card they want. So
right, and that's which card they get to throw into the fire, right?
No, I believe it's the card they get to have in their deck. I mean, they can then throw
Where's
that deck.
the fire portion? Where's the fire portion of this game?
I think the rotisserie part is the rotating through the people, not that they're going to be actually roasting on a fire. But I don't know. I haven't done it personally.
Criticisms.
I haven't done it personally. You know what? Maybe I'm missing something.
I have some suggestions on how to make this format better that I've never heard of or know anything about.
I'm getting very nervous that we're spending a lot of time on this, and they start in a half hour.
That'd be fine.
On Saturday, it's Loading Ready Live. Yeah.
Good.
Starting.
It's been a month-ish.
Yeah. It's Loading Ready Live is happening just as frequently as it was before the pandemic, but because time is moving strangely, it sometimes happens more faster than we think it's going to. But anyway, Loading Ready Live happening on Saturday. Something will happen. Definitely.
That's the guarantee.
We know a couple of things that might happen that we hope will happen.
Props today.
We know a couple of things that we hope will happen. Whether they do happen or not. Something that will happen, though, is on Sunday, it's Kathleen's Island Tour, where Kathleen is going to be going through all some nice Animal Crossing islands and seeing everybody there. And then it's going to be Neon Beats on Rhythm Cafe. Is that actually true? Are you going to be playing Neon Beats?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the game that I will play and find out if it is actually a rhythm game.
Could be a
I
short
didn't look that
episode,
closely
otherwise.
at it, but it said beats on it.
It's
so
got
probably
beats in the
fine.
name. It's got to be a rhythm
It's
game.
probably fine.
I think legally it has to be a rhythm game if it has beats in the name. And then on Monday, it is Dice Friends, where we're going to be continuing on some manner of TTRPG. In fact, I can tell you we're going to be continuing on A Rasp of Sand with Jer as the DM and Ian and Matt and Andy as players. And, well, things didn't go, ended kind of poorly the end of last session. But that's okay. That's okay, because the next generation is going to be way better. It'll be fine.
The lies we tell ourselves.
And then on Tuesday, we're back to Mine O'Clock with the Minecrafting talking simulator, where Cam and Corey are going to be playing a game that I don't know what the game is. And let's note where I also don't know what the game is, although I think they're still on Dead Space 3. So
It'd be weird if they finished it already.
maybe it's a really short game. Maybe they just got scared and stopped playing. They were like, no, we're not going to play that.
That's going to make it hard for them to stream.
Probably just more Wadham then.
Oh, probably more Wattham, yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's thank all the wonderful people who subscribed during this stream, starting with... Wait, I missed one. Starting with... Couldn't pick a username for 45 months. One day you will pick a username.
Julia Mon for 75 months. That's 3/4 of something.
Of the century. Totally Defiant back for 46 months. Welcome back.
Biofrin for 35 months.
Brobot 662 for 38 months.
Don't send WD-40 because it's a penetrating oil and water displacer. It's not actually great as a lubricant. It dries out. You have to keep
Also,
keep
liquids
regreasing
for
stuff.
veil time are just bad in general.
Yeah. Aerosol cans, not a great idea, you know? You can get WD-40 in spray bottles, apparently, too. Anyway, Peachy Prieto for 39 months. Welcome back.
Drazvin for 35 months. Thank you very much.
Jadar 5000 for 41 months. Welcome back.
Jamie Be Good for 3 months. Welcome back. Glad you returned.
Malum Rene for 10 months.
Addy Sheep for the 2nd month. Ooh, nice.
Defended username thesis for 2 months.
Oh, is this the... Wait, there was a thing about this.
Thank you for returning.
Yeah, I believe this is
I believe...
the username Saga?
The saga. Is this the finale of the username saga? The usernames you have successfully defended your username thesis? I think I told them that I would wait. Here we go. Yeah! Woo!
There we go. There we go.
Congratulations!
Good for you. That's
Good
strong.
job defending your username thesis.
Did you defend it successfully? I guess is more of the question, but
I
Anyway,
hope
we'll move on.
I hope it's just that successful didn't fit into the name part.
Yeah.
Take Crow 7
Yes.
for
I
32
do
months.
Ashiok Nightmare Moose for the 7th month.
Godort for 40 months. Welcome back.
Mungus Be Funky for 30 months. Wait, 60 months.
60. Twice as many months.
For weird dyslexia where I half numbers.
Lord of Elves for 14 months.
Like, I feel like I can imagine Elrond being like, I am a Lord of Elves.
I was like, did he just say Te?
No, he would.
Paperback Writer, gifted by the Maricat. Very apt for, I'm sure, the Love Struck bit.
Probably.
Yeah. Thank you, the Maricat.
Ico and Mog for 79 months. Thank you very much.
Sajuk's Jet, also gifted by the Maricat. Thank you. Must be part of that Jet Set Radio story.
Arconic Energy back for 46 months. Welcome back.
Chef Steven for 66 months.
Ampharos, the electric 15 Pokemon, back for 23 months.
Tomasu 82 back for 41 months, which is exactly half of 82.
Amorialingue for 29 months.
Sniper Pumpkin. Yeah, I know that pumpkin. 56 months. Welcome back.
Frankenstein for 34 months. Welcome back. We always do that joke, I think.
Really?
I think so.
This is Frankenstein, but like his mouth is sewn shut mostly.
Frankenstein! They call me Frankenstein!
I think you're confusing that with Frankenstein's monster.
No, I want to be called Frankenstein. It's really awkward to be called Frankenstein's monster all the time. I really don't mind if people just call me Frankenstein.
Must be awkward to be your name be a relationship to another person.
Mm-hmm.
Abyssal DM, gifted by Ico and Mog. Thank you very much.
Pro Thesis, also gifted by the Maricat. Thank you.
If you're not the antithesis, he must be the prothesis.
I suppose
Prosthesis? And 400 bits came to us from E-Block and Ticker Taylor Sailor Drunk. Thank you for your bits. And
Is that a spin-off show?
yeah, we're probably getting into the boat.
It's not hard to get into a boat.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, stay tuned in about a little over 20 minutes because there's going to be LRMTG Friday Night Paper, but not with paper fight. And
fire.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched the CheckPoint then that we were talking about, then you should go do that now. In the meantime, we'll talk to you later. Bye.